Greetings, I'm Gerard Muddu, and today I want us to talk about identification of cattle. Identification of cattle kitegeeza ki? Nti ki ekiyinza okuba nga kyawula ente emu ku ndala. Ntegeera ntya nti eno ente yange, ntegeera ntya nti eno ente endwadde, ntegeera ntya nti eno ente yange ensava. Because the cattle may look similar depending on colour. Ziyinza okufaanagana nga zifaanagana colour, zifaanagana amagulu, zifaanagana almost everything. But how can you identify the cattle you want? So you have the definition is there. What cattle identification means is the way of identifying cattle where labels or marks are used. Nti okwata n'oteekako kamaaka nga bw'onolabelinga nti kati eno ye uniform yange, so that tefaanagana ya munno. So also the cattle are labeled. N'ogamba nti eno ente yange kangitemeko okutu. So nosalako kukutu katono so that you can identify the cattle. N'ogamba nti yange yabadde nsaleko ko kukutu. Okay? That is what we call cattle identification. The way of identifying cattle where labels or marks are used. So we talk about the identification methods. The first identification method is called ear tagging. Ear tagging. All of us will respond, it is ear tagging. So simply, ear tagging is the method of identifying cattle where tags having numbers are fixed in the ear of the animal using an application. So okwata noteeka tag, it is like kayinza okubeera in form of a plastic nga kawandiiko noteekako nti this is number 1, ka plastic n'okateeka ku kutu. That is what we call ear tag. N'okateeka ku kutu, you fix it there such that bw'oba oyagala okwayitifying number ente, bw'olaba ente endwadde okugamba ente 100 ndwadde. So bw'oba ozinoonya togenda ng'okebera bukebezi bw'otyo, ogenda okebera ku namba gy'osanga nga ye 100 ng'omanya ente endwadde gye nakoze ki, enalaba. Bw'osanga nga yawonye, omanya ente gye nadde ndabye nga yawonye. So if you had not labeled nga togitaddeko namba nti this is number this one, you would find problems in that ojja bba otambula butambuzi ng'oginoonyeza mu zigifaanana. So you find that there are 3 like animals. Ogenda kulemererwa okuzuula eriwa. And that would bring problems because if the other animal you saw was sick, nojja ate nojjanjaba etali ndwadde when you have mistaken it, that one would bring problems to that animal. So that is what we call ear tagging. Tukwata kituyita tag ne tugisiba ku kutu. It would be in the form of a plastic, plastic, can be plastic or what, no kasibako, but with a number or a mark, and ente yange number 2, so that you can identify it. Another one, we talk about what we call ear notching. So you're seeing this, the way ear tagging is done. The cattle is here, never sekako a plastic kutu. Then we talk about what we call ear notching. This is when the animal's ear is cut with marks at the edge. So okutu kibasobola nti okutu okusalasalako n'okolako notch. Notch is like obusale. So those what you're seeing there, buno obubula obukkamu abuti wansi bwe baasala. So it would have been smooth, but because babusalamu obunotch, so that means that you can easily identify that cattle. Nti ente yange ensaleesalemu bweti yabadde ebadde. So you can know that bw'oba ogenze mu faamu onoonyayo that notched animal. Okay? So also have you using number laces. Number laces, this is a wooden or iron piece of plate which is put on the animal's head. So tugisibamu nga mudaali. The way you're seeing this one, tuteekateekamu ka plastic nga kali wooden or nga ka iron. Wooden kitegeeza nga kakoleddwa mu mbaawo, n'okasibako n'okasiba mu bulago bw'ente. So kati bw'oba oginoonya tonoonya nte nti oba ente efaanawo ete, onoonya nte nakalambe kayo n'ogamba nti eno ente yange yabaddeko CR7, the way you're seeing that one. Nti yabaddeko CR7. Era bw'oba onoonya mu faamu yo, onoonya ente eriko CR7 gy'okola ki? Gy'ojjanjaba. Another one is called ear tattooing. So ear tattooing, you're saying this is done by making permanent marks up using pliers carrying a letter or number that will identify the animal. So mwena mumanyi kye tattoo. All of you know what a tattoo is. So ear tattooing kitegeeza kuteeka ku kutu tattoo. But that tattoo tebeera ya birambe bino ebya bulijjo mulaba, but we use numbers so that you can identify them. You can also use letters, anything that can identify you cattle. Osobola n'ogamba nti nze kati ente zange kanziteekeko leeta, n'ogamba ente yange A, ente yange B, ente yange C, like that. So here we use the machine. You put there that number there, what we call ear tattooing. So you can also put a tattoo on cattle. So there is also what we call branding, where a hot iron marked with a symbol of identification is used. So branding is like okwata akantu ka iron. So iron, you know, it is a metal. Iron is that material that they use to make nails. So okakwata nokateeka ku nte, but they use a machine. They put that iron metal inside the what? I mean on the body of the animal. But that iron metal has what we call a mark. When you look at this first cow here, bateekako iron metal nga irimu a sign like an X sign. So kitegeeza bw'oba onoonya nti ojja kunoonya ente erimu ka iron akalinamu ka X mark. So that means that you can easily identify. So for another animal ng'ogiiko eno osobola okusalawo n'ogamba let me put there Z, as simple as that, so that you can easily identify the cows. So that is what we call identification of cattle. Still we are moving. We're having a note here. Only certain parts of an animal should be branded. This is because branding marks can spoil the quality of the hide after the animal is slaughtered. So, tokwata that iron mark, iron metal, nogisindika kumpi ku mubiri gwonna, because remember we use hot iron ne tumuyingiza mu skin. So remember we want the hide gye muyita skin, but hope you know the difference between a hide and a skin. A hide is got from large animals, while a skin is got from small animals, for example the rabbits, etc. Then I've been saying that the branding marks can spoil the quality of the hide into tubona okwata ki iron ekinene kubanga kati olusu oba oludamaging out, so you get like a small iron piece which you can easily see. So that is the thing that you put inside the animal's on the animal's skin, so that you can easily identify it. So there is also what we call tail bobbing, what we call trimming of the animal's switch. So you all open where you drew the cattle, you know where the switch is on the tail. So we cut off that tail. So when you cut off the tail, you know that the animal with the cut off switch is this animal. So you find the means of identifying that animal. That is what we call cat identification. The animal with the cut off switch is the one that maybe needs quite a feeds. This is my exotic breed. This is my what? This is the cat I bought from this one. This is what. So you identify that cattle. As simple as that. Hope you still remember where we started from. The methods in brief, we talk about them. So whatever I mention have to be in place to know what it means. Ear tagging, we use a tag. Ear notching, we cut off what we call notches. We cut off pieces from the ear. Use of numberlesses, you put their numbers, but they are like wango as more mudali in the neck. It is what we call ear tattooing. When to take a tattoo, but mainly it is done on the ear so that to prevent damages on the other animals' body. Branding, we've seen what it means. We use hot iron. Tail bobbing, we cut off the switch. As simple as that. Then we talk about something else, which we call dipping. Dipping in cattle. Dipping in cattle. So dipping simply means, so the animals, they always have what we call ectoparasites. Ecto always means outside. So those are the parasites that are always outside the animal's body. For example, ticks. Nga parasite ogisanga wabweru waki wa cattle. So waliwo gye tuyita deep tank, kibeera kinnya. So the animal eyitamu mu deep tank omwo nga mulimu ze tuyita chemicals ze tuyita acaricides. Bwennyikamu those acaricides, they kill those parasites. There's ectoparasites, not endoparasite but ecto, because the endoparasite acaricide eyo tesobola kuyingira munda, but all the parasites that are found outside ziba zirina okukola ki? Okufa. Okay, we'll look at the question down there. What is cattle dipping? Cattle dipping is the immersing of an animal in acaricides. What are acaricides? Acaricides, please, here there is no space here. Acaricides are chemicals used to kill external parasites. Hope we are together there. Name the structure on a cattle farm where dipping is done from. So I've said we use what we call a depot tank, and it is here. It is what? It is here. What happens is what? You're seeing on this deep tank, there is what we call the entrance race. There is where you have the foot bath. There is where you have a dipping tank. There is where you have the drainage race. There is where we have the roof. So cattle ente ejja neyita eno wetuyita mu entrance race. Bwejja muno foot bath kabanga kaba like kanya, but where they put their chemicals to kill the parasites, all the pests on the what? On the feet. So bwerinnyamu obubuka obudiri bwonna ku magulu nga bukola ki? Nga bufa. So after there, ejja neeyita mu deep tank ono wayise mu dipping tank neeyitamu bwisi. So yonna yonna eyitamu nnamba nga weeyina yonna yonna nekka mu mazzi yonna. Then after there neeyitamu neegenda, because bweyingira muno eba erina okulwa n'okuyitamu. Ensonga kyolaba wano waliwo amadaala essuza teyanguira mangu kwaki okuyitamu. Okay? Ejja nesukka nerinnya mu kafutu bath kano ne batta obuwuka bwonna bwonna obugiriko ku magulu. Then after nejja neeyita mu gye tuyita dipping tank. When it passes through the dipping tank, nejja ng'eyambuka. So in that process, mu dipping tank mulimu ze twayise chemicals which we call acaricides. Is it that all the external parasites on the what? On the body of the cattle. So we are talking about this, and there is a note. A deep tank is a farm structure designed to immerse animals in order to kill the external parasites. Components of a deep tank and their functions. So we are talking about the deep tank in detail. The roof. It is made up of iron sheets to prevent evaporation of the deep wash. So deep wash ge amazzi ge tukozesa for dipping. So ebeeramu iron sheet, bagikolamu iron sheets so that the deep wash kubanga it prevents the sun from hitting the deep wash, or what we call the chemicals, to hit them so that they can to prevent them from evaporation. So also the roof prevents the dilution of acaricides. Dilution, to dilute means okusabulula. So if the dipping tank was just in space, enkuba bwe yanditonye mu oyo deep wash, or what we call the acaricides, n'akola ki? N'alisabulula. So that roof prevents that water from entering the dipping tank, so that the chemicals are not diluted. So there is what we call so there is what I never said. I never talked about the drainage race. The drainage race is where tebweyitamu wano ejja neekalira wano. Drainage means okuvaamu amazzi. So the drainage race eba mu drainage race wano cattle weekalira. So there is what we call the collecting yard. It is where animals are put or collected before dipping. So tusooka ne tubiako tuzikuŋŋaanyiza such that tetubaako nte gye tutaakoze ki? Gye tutadiipinze. Tusooka zo tuzikuŋŋaanyizaamu gye tutadipinga yeeyitawo n'egenda. Gye tudipinga yeeyitawo n'ekola ki? negenda. Remember, these are ectoparasites. Singa wabeerawo emu gye tuta disinfectize tutasse parasites zaayo, zisobola okuvaako ate nezigenda ne zizaala ne zidda omuddo ogwo. So all of them, they have to be dipped. Next, the collecting yard should have a water trough from which animals drink water before being dipped. The floor of the collecting yard should be put with quarry stones to remove mud from the animals' hooves. So remember, we need to keep the deep wash clean. We don't want to bring even other germs or other parasites into the deep wash. So it has to have quarry stones so that they remove all the whatever, the mud, the dung from the animal's feet. So that is the function of the quarry stones in the collecting yard. Okay. So the foot bath, clean animal feet, not to make the deep wash dirty. So that is the function of the foot bath. Then next is the entrance race. Entrance race. It is used to allow animals into the deep tank. Animals are okuyingira mu deep tank. Deep tank, it is where animals are immersed. It contains acaricides which kill ectoparasites. Drainage race allow chemical flow back into the tank. So, but mainly what I told you in class, I told you that it is where the animal dries from in that drainage race where never comes. So the reason why he's saying that is where the chemical flow back to the tank nti our animal eyimirirawo neekala, but after amazzi agagitonyako gonna gaba gaddawa in the deep tank. Okay, so we are talking about this. So okay, what would be the disadvantages of cattle dipping? Because, for example, things like the disadvantages of cattle dipping would be a sick animal or weak animal cannot be dipped. Because when you look at this dipping, animal okuba eri fit, so that bwegwa mu acaricides ezo, those chemicals esobola okusituka nekwaki nevaamu. So if the animal is weak or it is a disease, it cannot get out of that deep tank. So that means that the sick animals cannot be dipped, or weak animals. Another disadvantage would be that animals can die, because animals si buli emu nti ejja kutegeera nti okuyitamu bwisi. So they have to be maybe practicing it what, or even you may dip them when you don't know that maybe they are weak. The animal fails to get out of the tank and it dies. So those would be some of the disadvantages of deep tank. But the thing is, the advantage is it is efficient, because all of the animal's body is washed. All the animal's body is washed with the acaricides. So that means that almost all the ectoparasites will die. Okay. We talk about this question. Give the meaning of each of the following terms as used in cattle management. We have what we call hand dressing. Hand dressing is a way of killing ticks where strong acaricides are used with a brush to treat areas not well treated in spray. So hand dressing, tukozesa chemicals. Remember, while spraying, osobola okusprayinga parasites ezimu ne zitafa, those ticks, what and what. So we use what we call a brush. Ne tugenda nga tuzitta manually ng'okozesa omukono, no sprayingawo noyisawo ka acaricide, tick eyo nefa, n'eri nefa, using the hand. That is what we call the hand dressing. Okay. So deep washing is, so this is not deep washing, it is deep wash. Okay. Deep washing is the dipping, but it is a deep wash. Deep wash is a liquid containing chemicals that kill ticks in a deep tank. Hope I'm clear there. Factors to consider when constructing a cattle dip. Factors to consider when constructing a cattle dip. First pass through, then we continue. Okay. So factors, the first factor there is The cattle, the cattle dip should be near a grazing area so that the animals do not walk long distances. Giteeke okumpi newooliisiza. So togiteeka wala nnyo ng'omala okutambuza animals ku bbanga eddene because animals zijja tuukayo nga zikoze ki? Nga zikooye. So remember I told you dipping needs a physically fit animal. Bw'ejjanga ekooye ejja kulemererwa okuva mu tank eno which would cause death. So make sure that the deep tank is very near to the what? To the make sure that the deep tank is very near to the grazing area and animal katambulako wali na wali so that etuukamu nga tekooye esobole okubamu bulungi mu deep tank. Next, the cattle dip should be constructed on a strong firm ground. Ino kubanga weri wagumu bulungi so that the animals don't get problems. Okay. Next, the cattle dip should be constructed in a well-drained place to control flooding. So kubanga mu kifo kyerimu kirungi temuyingiramu yadde mazzi because the moment floods the floods all the water from floods enter that whatever that deep they will dilute nagambye it means okusaabulula so they will dilute the acaricides because whenever you dilute wosaabulula chemicals they become less efficient. So also we talk about this cattle management at the cattle dip. 1. Provide animals with water before dipping them so that they are not tempted to drink acaricides. So that one explains also the reason why the other side we said that make sure that in the collecting yard where the animals collect first before going into the deep tank, there is what we call the water. There is water so that the animals are not tempted tezitukayo nyote eziruma nezaagala okunywa ki acaricide which would be dangerous when it enters into the what animal's body. Deep animals in the morning or evening. In the morning always animals they are energetic. And another thing, even in the afternoon you will find that the animals are tired, they are thirsty or even so it is better you dip them either in the morning or the evening. First, make 10 to 15 animals to run through the dip so that they can mix water with the acaricides. So that means that before dipping, even those first animals, they are not deep moving through that water is not considered as dipping because they are just mixing the acaricide. Bwezimala oyitamu nga zidda nga nazo zidipinga bupya kubanga the acaricides at first they are not mixed. So n'oziyisaamu so that they mix the acaricides zisobole okubeera nga zonna ziri the chemicals are well distributed in the deep wash. Animals should be arranged in the single file when entering the deep tank. I explained that nti zonna zibeere wantu wamu so that tobaako gy'otadiipinga. Okay? Do not dip sick, injured calves and pregnant animals. So I I talked about that sick, injured and weak animals. Weak animals there would be also the pregnant animals. Even the pregnant animals they are even vulnerable. They can even get they can even get problems. So you have to avoid that. Then another one, deep animals according to their ages. So tokwata mu deep tank mwoyisa ente enkulu ennyo ate simwoba oyisa akaana akato because the akaana akato ente entoto because we don't deep calves. Ente entoto ijja kubanga oyinza obuteetaaga kugiteeka mu deep tank emu mwodiipinga ente nki nkulu. Dip all the animals in one day to prevent further spread of parasites. I have already explained that. nti zonna zidipping at once and all of them, so that parasites ezo gyota dipping ziyinza okuba ate ne zidda ku ziro zowaki zo dipping. So you have to dip them in one day to prevent further spread of the parasites. Then keep records of all animals dipped. So in our next lesson, we shall talk about the different farm structures found on a livestock farm. Others, because we've looked at the cattle dip, so we shall look at the spray race, the calf pen, milking parlor, all shed, and the cattle crush. Wish you well.